The markets are open.
People always ask, well, why should I bet on Monday? Because you have the perfect number in front of you.
And the numbers are moving.
We've seen this total go from 47 to 49, 49 and a half.
Now you're getting a field goal in a game that was sit and pick 'em for so long.
Let's dive into some Monday morning market moves on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM.
A lot about Ohio State, Penn State, man. We've got one of those monster matchups. And early on, it is the Buckeyes, a 4-point road favorite. This opened in some spots at 3.5. Bet up to 4. The total down a touch at 47 and a hook after opening at 48. But you know, it's a lot of the coverage this week going to be about Drew Allar. What about his health? James Franklin. He didn't say much, but what he did say is, look, this was not a precautionary measure. He did not play in the second half because this injury is legitimate.
I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I don't think Allar's worth that much. Yeah, I mean, he's okay. He's one of these Penn State recruits that came in really highly anticipated, and he's been okay. I don't think he's anywhere near one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Obviously, you'd like him because he's got experience. He's a bigger quarterback, and he's got a decent arm. But the offense was just fine without him. And that's a Wisconsin defense that had held its last 3 opponents to 16 combined points. So let's give the backup some credit. If Allar is out, which, again, we don't know, Ohio State will get more popular. But I don't think we're talking 6 or 7. Like, I don't think it goes there. Penn State has a legit defense, 2 legit NFL running backs, and a really good offensive line. The problem for James Franklin is that these are the games he finds ways to lose.
Yes.
This has been his MO since he's been there. We can beat the teams we're supposed to beat, but we don't win these games. Just go back and look at Ohio State, Penn State, or Penn State, Michigan. Like, there's a huge sample size of him falling flat in these games. I was saying on Bear Bets last week, I was hoping Penn State would lose to Wisconsin or win by a field goal, and then I could get Penn State +6, which I would be very happy to bet. At +4, man, I need some more. I need some more wiggle room. 4 is not a lot. Ohio State's biggest issue for me is the offensive line. It's been a problem. They've had a couple guys banged up. The All-American is dinged up right now. It's a pass at this current number. I lean under. Open 48, down to 47.5 at MGM, 47 at Pinnacle. So that early move on the under, I think, is legit, and I don't think it's going to stop. This feels like a defensive war between Ohio State and Penn State.
You'll see a lot this week about James Franklin's record against top 10 teams, top 5 teams, ATS record. Last I checked, against top 10, have they played a top 10 team this year? They haven't yet, right? Until this week.
No way.
Okay. So against top 10 teams, just making sure this is still accurate, 3-17 straight up. Oof. 3-17 straight ups. They're usually pretty good. And I know the ATS record is just god awful as well. So that's going to be discussed a whole lot. You know, if we look at some other games that occurred over the weekend, we could, it's worth spending some time on. We were paying close attention to the SEC games, the 2 teams in that conference in big bounce back spots where they go both going to bounce back. Would one of them, how was that going to play out? Alabama did. They blanked Mizzou 34-0. That number closed 15.5. It goes under the total. Texas did not. They win on the road. They do not cover. Don't come close to covering that game. They win by a field goal over Vandy, 27-24. I feel like we have this conversation on a weekly basis, Sam. We're still not giving enough credit to Vanderbilt.
No, definitely not. That's a team that could realistically be undefeated too. That's the crazy part about Vandy, as close as they've been in some of those losses. That's a tough spot. Look, when you play Georgia, and we talked about this on the show last week, when you play teams like Georgia and Alabama in the NFL, when you play the Steelers, that next week it hits you. All those bruises, and you don't have that second gear because you get worn down. And Texas's offensive line got destroyed by Georgia. I think Texas was still sort of feeling some of that in the game against Vandy to let Vandy crawl back in at the end of the game and have an easy cover as a massive underdog. Huge cover for Vandy. Let's talk about Oregon, Michigan. This opens 14. It is out through the 14. It is 14.5 at MGM. I see 15s. I see 16s. So after Oregon wallops Illinois, I looked up. I was on the way to the wedding. I looked up and it was, it's 35-3 against Illinois. It's tough to blow out Bielema teams. Not for Oregon. It wasn't. Oregon has just been avoiding these letdowns too. Like they've had so many games where they could come in and be a little lackadaisical. Like after they beat Ohio State 32-31, you would think, oh, well, they don't care about Purdue. Then they go into West Lafayette, win 35-0. Nothing. Then you got to get up for Illinois. 38-9. You were laying 22-23. They don't have that dud. They don't do that under Dan Lanning. They are ready to go every single week. And the sharpest people I know laid 14 and 14.5. There's a 16 right now at a couple spots. So early money coming in against Michigan with your guy, Sharon Moore.
Yes, my guy for sure. This one is interesting. It's not your biggest SEC matchup, but hey, man, it's worth talking about because of the quarterback situation. Texas A&M during the LSU game, they pull Wegman, put in Marcel Reed. They win the game by 15. You had that running aspect to the game, and that move for Elko ends up working out. Texas A&M still up there at the very top. They go to South Carolina, then they host New Mexico State. A couple of games they should win. So the number this week at South Carolina, tough spot there, tough place to play. They are a 3-point road favorite. It's a juice 3 at some spots. I do see 3.5 out there, but it's Texas A&M minus 3.5. Do you think they stick with Reed?
I would.
You got it, right?
I don't think it's even that tough of a question. I can tell you this. If I bet South Carolina, they'll be up at half and lose by 4. I can tell you that. And I'll be getting 3. I can almost promise you that. I'll have Gamecocks plus 3. I could take 3.5 right now. They'll lose 21-17. They'll be up in the third quarter.
Yeah.
That's what'll happen.
At home. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Is there an underdog number that stands out right now that you don't think will be available later in the week?
I think Wisconsin bounces back against Iowa. That opened 4, and it's now 3.5 trending down. That feels like a game that closes 3 or less. I think they'll take Wisconsin after the Penn State melt. And then they're taking 3 right now with Washington at home against USC. That is happening right now. Okay. 2.5 at MGM, 2.5 411, 2.5 Buckeye. They're taking the 3s off the board. So those would be the 2 that I think keep moving. Washington at home and Wisconsin on the road.
All right, Sam, let's talk about some of these movers that I've noticed. All right, let's go to the Big Ten. One of our favorites on the show. Actually, a couple of our favorites are matching off here. Purdue opens as a pick'em at home against Northwestern. It is now the Wildcats installed as the favorite. Let's call it 1.5. I see a 2.5 out there, but mostly 1.5s. Northwestern, a road favorite against Purdue.
No way. Absolutely not. No chance in hell I touch this game. Are you going to bet it?
No, but I just think it's fascinating because you hate both of these teams with a passion.
Well, I hate Northwestern. I have nothing against Purdue. I don't like the Purdue message board that
you don't like the coach.
Gaslight me. Yeah, well, the coach stinks. No, but I really hate Northwestern. I actually told that story at the wedding, the Phillips story. The guys were laughing. Yeah, the 2 no-shows. I mean, they're just guessing. The books. When a book throws up a pick'em, they're guessing. They have no idea what to do with it. There's no home field at Purdue. Meow. I don't know. No way. Next.
Let's stay in the Big Ten. Illini open as a favorite at home, 1.5, and now it's Minnesota minus 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, Fleck has been really good in this short favorite role. Already cashed a couple times this year, including the game when they went to UCLA and covered the closing number. Yeah, I was not impressed with Illinois. I didn't bet the side. I mean, I wasn't really going to lay 23. That opened 21. Oregon got to 23, and then didn't really matter. I would think this is a decent spot to get back on Illinois. I don't know how much more it's going to go. I mean, it's hard to envision it going to 3. But then again, it's 2.5 at Superbook. MGM's got 2.5, so it's certainly closer to 3 than it is to pick 'em. But not really surprised. I mean, Minnesota's well received in the market. The market likes Minnesota. I think the market doesn't know what to do with Illinois. And really, when you look back at that Illinois-Purdue game, how did Purdue score 49 points on anybody?
I watched it, and I still don't know how that happened.
I mean, one of the strangest ends to a game. A team that can't score scored 40 points in the second half. I mean, I'm over it. I'm not like still, dreading the bet on Illinois. We laid 16 and 17 and got to 24, and they're up 27-3. I don't know what happened, but that loss looks worse and worse. Or that not loss, that performance by Illinois looks worse and worse.
Yeah, for sure. Another one we need to get to, these two teams, certainly not close, but it's always a notable matchup, the largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville. You've got Georgia going up against Florida. The spot is really interesting. So they make the Bulldogs, BetMGM has them as a 16.5-point favorite right now. So Georgia beats Texas. They go on bye. So they're sitting around preparing for this game for 2 weeks. Listen to this Florida lineup, okay? They've got Georgia this week. Then they go to Texas. Then they play LSU. And then they go to Ole Miss. That might be the toughest month that you could possibly have, that any team has in the nation.
That's not great.
That's
great.
Real bad. Yeah.
Does Przynski know about that stretch? We should tell him when we get him back.
If he joins us Wednesday, I'm definitely bringing this up.
That is brutal. So let me just see. So this is a neutral, obviously. I've got Georgia at 130 and Florida at 114. So that's on a neutral. I would have the game 16. That's exactly the line. 16 and a half at BetMGM. So I'm right there. I mean, to me, that's a perfect line in the game.